welcome to Global Vision. I am super happy and honored to have here my friend Dina Hill. And we're going to speak about food service in the United States. She has been an amazing expert in food service, restaurants, catering, and doing great events. So I just wanted to welcome you, Dina, into Global Vision.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and appreciate your asking me.
Well, I would love to know that you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this career.
Oh, of course. Well, first of all, I'm an event planner, an event producer, and a venue developer. I've been in this business for about 20 years, maybe a little more, as a planner. I've worked with the Ritz-Carlton hotels, Waldorf Astoria in New York, as well as the Hilton hotels. About 5 years ago, I decided to go out on my own and create Dina Hill Events. So I've been doing that. And that's when I branched out into restaurants. And so I opened Black Barn Restaurant in New York, as well as worked with celebrity chefs Melba Wilson in Harlem from Melba's and Chef Marcus Samuelson in Harlem with Red Rooster. So working with them, amazing, been doing that virtually as well. So virtual is not something new to me. I've been working virtually for about 3 years now. And working, as you know, worked with lots of celebrity thought leaders, presidents. It's been a very fulfilling career. And now that I've moved into venue development as well and consulting on that, I work with a $32 million home in New York called Sousa House, a brand new village that's being built in Italy called Abruzzo Borgo. And coming online in April in New Jersey, a place called Harvest Time Farm, where we'll be doing lots of events in New Jersey as well. So the name of the game is pivoting, and also keeping my career interesting to me so that I can be helpful to others. So that's what I've been doing.
Wonderful. You have done amazing events for former presidents, celebrities, and people like that. And you have lived the years where events were amazing and crafted with so much glamour. So, how do you see the industry now changing? And with all of the challenges that we're going through, what kind of future do you see in the events management?
Well, event management, as I said, ever evolving, always having to pivot, but I see a fantastic future. Our events were typically one-dimensional in that they were in a ballroom or in a space, 400, 600 people, however many people it was, but it was defined by space. Now events are no longer defined by that. Because of going virtual, we're going to have several types of events. We're going to have in-person events. We will have hybrid of the two. So you'll have in-person plus virtual, and then you're going to have just virtual. And what that has done is expanded the audience. I mean, when you think of a nonprofit event that could only have the number of people in its ballroom as attendees, now it can have exponential amount of people and their message is getting out further. I mean, a perfect example is I have a client who has a very large celebrity component to his event. In the past, it's a 3-day conference, and in the past, he was able to filter through about 5 to 10,000 people sometimes.
Wow.
And it's in New York, and the celebrities that could come because of scheduling could be very few. Now, this year, because it had to go virtual, he was able to have quite a few celebrities, and he's now 95,000 people were able to enjoy his event. And now, because it's up forever in perpetuity, it'll be up the next year, more people will be able to enjoy it. He was, again, 95,000 people, 13 countries, and his red carpet was enormous because now a celebrity can be on a panel, they can spend an hour at home on a panel, they can be on the red carpet, again, in their home, and there's nothing but, it was very interesting the way he was explaining it to me. I said, this is the perfect explanation. It's no longer time and space, it is now choice. So you
Beautiful. I
can
love
choose
that.
to be anywhere at any time. So I think we're living in amazing times in that we were forced to change, but now the sky is really the limit.
Beautiful. The sky is the limit. I love this. What about the restaurant business?
Ah,
Because we could not eat virtually, not yet.
no, we cannot. I wish I could. But no. Well, the restaurant business, it indeed has changed. And whereas I'm putting somewhat of a rosier picture on it, it has been a devastating year for restaurants, for events. I mean, imagine in March, we were all going gung ho, and then suddenly there was a switch of a flick of a switch, and suddenly nothing. And it has been slowly coming back, and it is by no means back, but slowly. So we went from nothing to being able to deliver only and pick up. And then I don't know whether you spend any time in New York, but then we had these beautiful, it feels like cafes in the street, and
I
that
love it.
people with these outdoor experiences, which in the summer were delightful, wonderful. I felt like I was in Paris all the time. It was great. But then the colder weather's coming. You get a lot of rain. And now the challenge of keeping people warm, and this really is to just hold on. This is not really sustaining the restaurant. It's being able to hold on, keep a presence, keep some of your employees employed. It's been just astronomically difficult. And so as of Friday of last week in New York, they're opening up restaurants 25%. This happened in September. It opened up, closed down in November because the numbers started to spike. So here we are trying it again. Now we're still in the middle of winter, and hopefully as time goes on and the weather's a little better, we can have more people outside. And as people are vaccinated, we'll be able to have larger numbers of people be able to come inside, because you'll see a difference in the numbers of COVID positivity. So people really are just hanging on right now. And it's a difficult time, but we are hoping for the best. I met one restaurateur who opened his restaurant here in the Midwest in March when everything started.
Wow.
And I thought, God bless you, man, because your positive outlook, I'm thrilled to see you. And I go to his restaurant because I want to make sure that when we get better handle on what's going on, that he is still there, because I want restaurants to be there. We need them. We need that way of connecting with each other. I love Zoom, don't get me wrong, I love it. I've been able to Zoom with my family every Sunday night. We have Sunday night dinner together since March, which is something prior to pandemic we did not do. So the double-edged sword is we can be together virtually, but there's nothing like being together in person. And I'm really looking forward to being able to do that.
Absolutely. I know you are a traveler. You've been
Mhm.
living in more than 10 countries. And
Yes.
even with COVID, nothing has stopped you to keep traveling.
No, I've still had to do a little safely. But yes, I've had to do a little traveling during COVID.
So in your industry, what kind of differences have you been seeing between the United States, and also you spent some time in Europe? How is the challenges the same? Do you see difference between one market and another?
Well, both. The challenges are the same in that whenever you're handling an event, the components are the same, regardless of where you are in the world. There may be some things that are specific to that particular country or that particular region, but the ideas are basically the same. Some of the differences that you'll have in the United States that you don't have in other places is sometimes access to various food items, access to some of the vendors that I'm used to working with. So that can be a little different. I noticed that when I'm in America, seasonality of food almost doesn't exist, because we are used to having everything flown in all of the time. So it doesn't really matter what you're asking for. If it's grown in the world, it can be brought into the United States. When I'm working in other countries, that's not necessarily so, because people are going to that country specifically for that cuisine and for that culture. So you're not necessarily going to Italy to have Southern barbecue, but you're going to be in the South here in America, and you might want to have an Italian theme, and you can have an authentic Italian theme because that exists here in this country. So that I see primarily as the difference, because we're going to that country specifically for that country's cuisine, for the culture, for that experience. But in America, you're going to be able to get everything because we are made up of everyone.
Wonderful. I know that you are a New Yorker like me, but also you spent some time in the Midwest, and now right now you are in the Midwest.
Correct.
What is the vibe connecting with the restaurants? Do you see a difference between the Midwest and the East Coast regarding how they coping with the situation and how COVID has affected the industry?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's devastating and difficult for both areas, for the Midwest as well as New York. So in that respect, that is the same. However, the people in the Midwest live differently than the people in New York. So that's the kind of thing you have to take into consideration. In the Midwest, people live primarily in homes and not necessarily apartments, as well as it's a car culture versus a walking and subway culture. So I say that to say, when I'm here in the Midwest, home cooking is not a new thing. Not that it's new in New York, but in New York, we go out to eat all the time. That's what we do. I mean, Sex in the City, and you look at Carrie Bradshaw and her laughing about, I keep sweaters in my oven. That's kind of true in New York. Whereas in the Midwest, people are cooking at home, they're enjoying their barbecues outside in their yards, and they invite people over. And our way of inviting people over in New York is, let's get together at our restaurant for brunch and we have our favorites. So that has been the difference when it comes to the way that we live. So here in Ohio, the opening of the restaurants, I came to visit in August and they were already open inside, which I had not been used to that. I hadn't seen an indoor restaurant since March. So in August, it was very odd that my family said, oh, we're going to go have breakfast. And I thought, what? And so they were social distancing, they were being responsible, but they were at that point. In New York, we didn't get to that point until September, and again, closed in November. That has not been the case in Ohio. Inside dining has remained. And last week, the governor here just opened up the bars so that they had to close at 10 o'clock before, and now they can close at 1 in the morning, so that now you've got that after hours experience happening, which you don't quite have yet in New York. So very, very different experiences from one place to another. But again, no one is fully open. Everyone is still trying their best to hang on until we get to a time when we can all be open. So we're really looking forward to that.
What will be, to finish up, the trends for 2021 in the food industry? What are the trends? What are the products? What are the things that in the events are happening right now?
Well, of course, I know all of that. No. I think one of the biggest trends is safety first. And that is not going to go away for 2021. So everything is going to be surrounding that. All technology, all food service, all surrounds safety first. So whether we're looking at the way we sanitize our areas with the UV lighting, the way that the touch points are different in regard to, we're already gotten used to the QR codes, the point of sale systems where you're laying your credit card down on a device versus giving it to someone. The touch points between me and you will be less and less and less. I also think that we're going to be asked to have our medical histories somehow on our phones, so that we're going to know whether, have you had the vaccines, have you tested positive or negative? And that's almost going to be a point of entry. In fact, that's coming very, very soon, because in New York, in March, mid-March, we're opening up events for 150 people.
Hmm.
And that's predicated on everyone being tested negative for COVID. So how are we going to be able to prove that to each other? As an event planner, what are going to be the steps and protocols that I need to make sure that everyone at the event is safe? So these things are coming down the pipe, they're coming down the line. And I think it's going to be more and more accepted, just as when you go into a website and the website says, we use cookies. If you want to be in the website, click. You accept the cookies, you're going to have to come in. That's going to be the same way, I think, for events, in that if you'd like to come into the restaurant or if you want to come into the event, we need to see your status to make sure it's for the protection of everyone. And I think that's what's going to happen. And in regard to food and products, now everyone is cooking at home. I think that's going to continue, and it gets more and more sophisticated as time goes on. So looking at the things that can be delivered to home, the way that it's packaged to get to your home, that's going to change as well. I mean, I think I've put kids through college, the amount that I've spent in Uber Eats. So, but I'm also thinking, as you may or may not know, there are chefs who have opened restaurants that are restaurants in name only. They are not brick and mortar restaurants. You can't go there and get a seat. They exist only online. And I think you're going to see that as well for Uber Eats to deliver. So that is a trend that is happening too. And when it comes to events, I think, again, you're going to have those 3 levels of in-person. You're going to have hybrid events. That means technology will become even greater when it comes to virtual events. And virtual events are going to evolve as well. You and I are on this particular platform, but events, as you can see, it's no longer going to be just talking heads. We're all going to, that's why I'm an event producer as well, because lots of events that I produce now, it's like the Academy Awards. You have commentators, you have people talking about, what is she wearing? What is this? We're trying to hype it up to make this virtual experience at home, even drop shipping the actual meal to their homes. That's happening now too, so that everyone is getting the same experience regardless of where they are. I think it's unfortunate, not unfortunate is the wrong word. It's horrific because I lost my mother a little over a year ago. To lose a loved one is the most incredible thing in your life and so life altering. That is one thing that's happening during this time. But when it comes to my business, and as we start to progress, we are also living in very, very exciting times. It's like going from the horse to the train to the car to the airplane. We're going from in-person to hybrid to virtual. Again, the sky's the limit. We just don't know where we're going, but we know that it's incredible what is happening, and it's inclusive. Everyone on earth is going to be able to attend something and see something and be exposed to something more so than any other time that in the human existence. So that is a very exciting time to live in.
You know what? Your enthusiasm is contagious. And I love what you're saying. And it gives me, I think it's a great note to leave our audience with, that the sky is the limit. And of course, we're going to live in the most inclusive times ever. So I think that with that, I would like to just thank you so much for being here with us. And of course, we'd love to have you again. And I think your insights were extremely positive and full of optimism. And that's all we want to hear, that, you know what, this is not to stop. We're moving forward like humanity to a new experience. And this is great. So thank you so much, Dina.
Thank you so much, Bisila. I look forward to seeing you again.
Me too. I'll see you when you're back in New York, okay?
Without question. I'll be back soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.